When the Galactic Empire executed an old man, they had no idea that his son led the deadliest special forces unit in human history. By the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. The old man's death. The Galactic Empire had ruled the Orion Arm for centuries with an iron fist. Their doctrine was simple: fear and submission. Planets that resisted were crushed, and dissent was met with swift, brutal force. Humanity, a young species in the Empire's eyes, was allowed to exist as a minor auxiliary force, providing laborers and low-tier warriors, but never a real threat. On Colony Delta 4, an aging man named Elias Graves had lived a quiet life. A former scholar, he had once been a soldier before retiring to a peaceful existence. However, the Empire did not tolerate even peaceful rebellion. A fabricated charge was all it took: treason against the Emperor. No trial, no mercy. Elias Graves was dragged into the city square, where an Imperial Inquisitor General declared him guilty. The execution was broadcast across human colonies as a warning. The old man's last words, spoken in defiance, were, "You do not know what you have done." Then the plasma blade fell. The sun. What the Empire failed to realize was that Elias Graves was not just an old man. He was the father of Gabriel Graves, the commanding officer of Ghost Unit 17, the deadliest special forces unit in human history. Ghost Unit 17 was a myth among humans and a nightmare among aliens. Composed of elite operatives trained for asymmetric warfare, psychological operations, and planetary sabotage, they were infamous for toppling entire regimes with just a handful of operatives. Every member had survived wars that should have killed them a dozen times over. Gabriel Graves had spent years in the shadows, leading missions that reshaped battlefields. But when he saw the execution of his father, something inside him changed. The war that he had always fought in the darkness was now about to be brought into the Empire's heart. The response. The Galactic Empire did not expect retaliation. They had crushed rebellions before, after all. But then the disappearances began. The Imperial Governor of Delta 4 vanished from his chambers, his guards found suffocated with precision strikes to their throats. An entire battalion of Imperial shock troopers stationed on Delta 4 was wiped out. Their bodies were found stacked in the central square, just beneath the Imperial banner. Key supply routes burned overnight, ammunition depots detonated, and food shipments disappeared. The Imperial Fleet's admiral in charge of the sector was found hanging from the bridge of his own ship, his throat slit open. The Empire tried to respond with overwhelming force, but Ghost Unit 17 was never where they expected. They hunted the hunters, infiltrated Imperial command centers, and made their officers afraid to sleep. Imperial officers whispered about a name in fear: the Phantom of Delta 4. Gabriel was no longer fighting as a soldier. He was fighting as a son. The fall of the Empire begins. As the Empire struggled to contain Ghost Unit 17, they made a fatal mistake. They underestimated how many people wanted revenge. Humanity had suffered under the Empire's rule for decades, but now, with Gabriel Graves leading the charge, colonies began rebelling in the shadows. Other human special forces units, hidden away in the dark corners of the Empire, began resurfacing. Supply convoys stopped moving. Entire planets started slipping from Imperial control. Gabriel Graves had ignited a war. And unlike other rebellions, this one was personal. Because he wasn't just a soldier. He wasn't just a leader. He was a son avenging his father. And he would burn the Galactic Empire to the ground.